Welcome to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. So the Buzz Lightyear movie opened up this past weekend, but it didn't do as well as had been predicted. And so it's kind of interesting to take a look to see exactly what occurred. It's hard to escape the deflating sense that Disney's Lightyear has remained stubbornly earthbound in its box office debut. At least that's the prevailing sentiment that's greeted the latest Pixar film's so-so $51 million opening weekend in North America. For industry analysts, those lackluster ticket sales were confounding because Pixar had been box office royalty and Lightyear, a spin-off of the cosmically successful Toy Story franchise, landed decent, though not euphoric, reviews. Moreover, audiences who awarded the film an A- cinema score seemed to be entertained by the animated otherworldly adventure in which Chris Evans takes over from Tim Allen as the voice of Buzz Lightyear. To be sure, $51 million opening weekend is far from catastrophic. In fact, Lightyear landed one of the best debuts for an animated kid-friendly film during COOF times. However, Disney certainly hoped the $200 million budgeted movie would rake in more coinage in its first weekend in theaters. For Pixar, Lightyear ranks as one of the studio's lower starts, behind 2017's Cars 3 at $53 million and ahead of 2015's The Good Dinosaur at $39 million and 2020's Onward at $39 million. It's also one of the rare Pixar films to not take the top spot at the domestic box office, landing in second place. So what prevented Lightyear from going to infamy and beyond at the box office? Lightyear is running into the limitations of the spin-off form, says David A. Gross, who runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. This is still elite business. It's just no longer defying gravity. One of those constraints is that Lightyear had an unusually confusing premise, one that probably sounded a lot catchier in Buena Vista boardrooms than it did on the movie's puzzling marketing materials. You know Andy's favorite action figure from Toy Story? No, not the cowboy voiced by Tom Hanks, the other one. Well, this is the movie about the fictional astronaut that, stay with us, inspired the piece of plastic who later became best friends with Woody and Mr. Potato Head. Try explaining that to a 6-year-old. Heck, try explaining that to an adult. Except for the character itself, Lightyear had only a tenuous connection to the 4 films in the popular kid-friendly franchise. And in turn, nostalgia was not as potent a force as Disney may have imagined. So, something that people may be confused about with this spin-off Lightyear movie is that it really does not have anything directly to do with the Toy Story franchise. So it doesn't involve any toys. This is supposed to be the equivalent of the actual characters that led to the creation of the toy. So yeah, I can see that being kind of confusing for people, and especially for children. Part of the fact that it did not have any of the other toys in the movie and that it wasn't really a toy-based movie, I think that worked against the film for many people who really enjoyed the original Toy Story franchise. And all of the people who have complained about the gay kiss that occurs in the Lightyear film, I don't think that's really the main reason why the film did so poorly at theaters, because while $51 million sure sounded really good, as compared with the other films it was up against, it really wasn't all that good. And for all of the Pixar films going back in time, and we can take a look at that, here are the opening weekend numbers right here going in this column. And here is Lightyear way at the bottom of this list right here. So yes, it wasn't just behind Cars 3, it was also behind Coco. Though Coco went on to earn around close to $800 million globally, and Cars 3 went on to earn around $383 million globally, but that's really no better than Solo: A Star Wars Story. The real issue here for Lightyear is that it's a $200 million budgeted film, but a lot of Pixar films have these really high budgets. And what does that mean? They've got to earn really big dollars to break even. Anything that had $175 million of a budget or more would need at least $500 million or around $500 million to break even. And certainly Coco would have broken even. Cars 3 may have broken even. Cars definitely broke even. But Lightyear, it has a long way to go to break even. And this $50 million, that's only $7 million more than what Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore earned in its opening domestic weekend in the US, which isn't really all that good. The film's marketing never made quite clear the connection to Andy's favorite toy until the last second. And they've been marketing this movie for a while, says Sean Robbins, the chief analyst at Box Office Pro. At the same time, Disney spent the last 2 years putting Pixar movies, Soul and Turning Red among them, directly on Disney+, which may have inadvertently conditioned people to expect to see the animation studio's newest releases at home. Lightyear, the first Pixar movie to play on the big screen since Onward in March 2020, may have been singed by the Coof-era experiment. Given muted word of mouth, Lightyear struggled to excite people to go to theaters in the same vein as, say, Top Gun: Maverick, a movie that could have relied on its status as a name brand but also managed to more thoughtfully involve the property. Disney has trained a lot of parents to expect Pixar movies at home, Robin says. I wonder how much Lightyear paid that price for that. And that's entirely possible. And I know that from other articles that a lot of people at Pixar have been very upset with Disney only sending their movies direct to Disney Plus and not allowing them to have a theatrical release. And these movies have humongous budgets that are equivalent to live-action blockbuster films, which to me seems really overpriced. I think personally that way too much money is being put into Pixar movies to begin with. For years, Disney has achieved massive commercial glory, dipping into its storied vault to revive and remake old properties like Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, and Aladdin. The studio also has sustained some high-profile misfires, like 2019's live-action Dumbo and 2018's Solo: A Star Wars Story, a spin-off set in a galaxy far, far away, and which made hardly any money and lost money at the theater. Kathleen Kennedy can be very proud of that failure. Lightyear falls somewhere in between and serves as the latest reminder that brand recognition is certainly helpful, but not every retread has blockbuster potential. Box office experts emphasize that Disney in some ways has become the victim of its own success at the box office. Disney's misses are sometimes better than other studios' best hits, says Jeff Bach, an analyst with Exhibitor Relations. Do they spend too much? Probably, but Lightyear has all summer to play out. Certainly, Lightyear may make more money going forward, and certainly it will, and it may break even. But you have to bear in mind that as time goes by, the percentage of ticket sales that the studio gets to keep begins to go down as the percentage that the theaters gets to keep goes up. So that makes it increasingly difficult for a film to break even as time goes by. Overseas, where studios make even less money from ticket sales because they take a lower percentage, the film had a worse opening overseas than it did in the US. Also, the film is not opening in several countries due to the gay kiss. Something that this article failed to take into consideration was the timing of this film's release. This past weekend was Father's Day. And if you were a family, where would you be more inclined to take your father? Would you want to take him to see an animated film intended for children? Or would you want to take him to see something like Jurassic World Dominion or Top Gun Maverick, both of which are intended for adult audiences? I think most families would have opted for the latter. So I think it's safe to say that Disney's decision to release Lightyear during Father's Day weekend and put it up against films like Jurassic World Dominion and Top Gun Maverick was a very bad choice. Another poor choice that I think that Disney and Pixar made was recasting Tim Allen as the voice of Lightyear with Chris Evans. Tim Allen has always been the voice of the toy version of Lightyear, and that's what most people expect. So replacing him with Chris Evans was probably not the best idea. So Lightyear may eventually break even, but I think it's going to be a number of weeks or possibly a couple of months before it's able to do that, given how theaters take an increasing percentage of ticket sales moving forward, and the film had such a soft landing overseas. Unless it's still going to be opening in other markets, it's probably not going to do that much better in overseas markets at this time. But we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.